The wind howled across the snow-covered mountains, echoing like 1,000 distant screams. In the pitch-black night, the ground suddenly split open. A pale gray hand, nails long and black as coal, burst upward, clawing at the stone. The scraping rang out across the valley, and from that crack, a towering shadow stepped forward. Eyes glowed crimson in the winter dark, each breath spilling white mist into the air. It raised its head and roared, a roar so deep and heavy it felt like the mountain itself was collapsing. What had emerged was no longer human. Once a proud warrior, now only a swollen corpse, imprisoned by a spirit filled with hatred. The Norse called it Draugr. In ancient Scandinavia, people believed death was not always the end. Those who were greedy, treacherous, or died with blood debts unpaid were cursed. Their souls remained trapped inside their own flesh, unable to fade, unable to rest. Draugr were thought to be the sentinels of the dead, guarding tombs, treasures, or secrets no living man should know. Their skin was green-gray or bluish, stretched tight from the cold, muscles hard as iron, immune to rot. Each step cracked the earth beneath them, and the air around them froze, draining all warmth. But all those stories were just legend, until one fateful winter night in the village of Vardu. That winter, snow fell for 3 days and nights. The north wind cut through rock walls, carrying strange sounds, like armor clashing in the distance. At first, the villagers blamed the blizzard, but then, the weapons shed was found wide open, with giant footprints pressed deep into the snow, leading into the old forest. The elders whispered, "The tomb of Skjoldr has opened, and he's come back for the one who disturbed it." In the village, 3 young men, Einar, Halvard, and Knut, laughed off the tales. They vowed to enter the tomb and bring back Skjoldr's sword to prove it was just a story. But every horror story begins with a trip like that. Snow fell so thick they could barely see each other's torches. The trail to the tomb wound over slick stone, and the further they went, the colder the air became, as if they were descending into a deep frozen cavern. The tomb's stone door loomed ahead, taller than 2 men, crusted with moss and ice. Carvings of warriors, swords, and skulls covered its surface. A sharp click rang out. The door slowly swung open, though no one had touched it. A wave of frigid air poured out, heavy with the stench of centuries-old death. Inside was a dark chamber, lit only by flickering torchlight. At its center lay a massive stone coffin. Einar smirked, stepping forward to place his hand on the lid. Just stone and bones. But the moment his hand touched it, crack sounds came from within. The coffin lid trembled. The whole chamber shuddered, dust sifting down from the ceiling. The lid burst upward. A massive arm reached out, nails like blades gripping the stone edge. Draugr hauled itself up, clad in rusted armor still intact. It stood nearly 8 feet tall, eyes burning red, breath spilling out like smoke from a forge. It didn't attack right away. Step by step it advanced, armor grinding with a harsh metallic screech. The silence was broken only by the pounding hearts of the intruders. Einar roared, swinging his axe clang. The blade bounced off, sparking. Draugr didn't flinch. With one sweep of its arm it hurled Einar into the wall, the crack of bone echoing in the dark. Halvard and Knut darted around, trying to reach the treasure. But Draugr bellowed, a sound so deep it shook the air, leaving them dazed. It lunged, seizing Halvard and crushing his throat until he hung limp like a broken doll. Only Knut remained, hands trembling but eyes set with grim resolve. He drew a silver dagger, his father's heirloom, and charged. Draugr turned, raising an arm to block, but Knut drove the blade deep into its chest. The monster staggered, its roar turned into a hiss of rage. The red glow in its eyes faded, its massive frame collapsed, crumbling into ash, leaving behind a cold, empty silence. Knut walked out of the tomb. The snow still fell, but the wind no longer screamed. He returned to the village, yet from that night on, whenever darkness fell, his eyes held a faint, unsettling red. The villagers whispered. Maybe the Draugr hadn't truly died, it had simply found a new host. The tomb of Skjoldr was buried under snow from then on. But when the winter wind blew, villagers still swore they heard armor clashing in the night. And every year, as the cold returned, someone would vanish into the forest. You can seal a door, bury a tomb, but can you truly bury something that has crossed the line between life and death? The Draugr isn't just the tale of a monster. It's a warning that greed and vengeance can outlast flesh itself. And sometimes, what you think you've destroyed is merely waiting for the right moment to return. If a single Draugr could haunt an entire village for generations, what other nightmares might be lurking, waiting for their own chance to walk again? The Draugr is just one of countless cursed beings from the ancient world. In other lands, in shadows and ice, there are creatures still hidden from sight. But once they emerge, they will shatter everything humanity thinks it knows.